Whoa! Hey, yeah. Turn on the other camera first. Shouldn't have done that. Should turn this one on first, and then these other ones after. Yay, like that. Alright, anyway. Yeah, I don't really need that camera. Anyway. Yeah, this one's pretty good. I like this idea. I can move this one around. Semi-interesting. Better angle and such, and so forth. Whoa, that's not good. Whoa, stay. Or something. Yeah, anyway, yeah, I figure I'd make a video, but I'm a little distracted. Yeah, alright, I made a new channel. Might as well point to it. What the hell? It's about, this e-cigarette stuff, so I have an e-cigarette channel. So I'll post a link. And, yeah, I put one video on there, and, it's probably just going to be videos like that, just these motherfucking bastards who rip me off. And it really pisses me off. Anyway, where do you buy these e-cigarette shit and actually get what you're paying for? It doesn't always work out. Like most of the time, it doesn't work out. And it's really irritating. But anyway, the subject of this video is, well, it's conference report. Made a couple of videos. I just thought I'd respond to them, generally speaking, and such. Yeah, I won't go into any other shit. So anyway, two subjects. The first one was the education thing, and he was talking about how it'd be good to separate testing from the actual educational infrastructure, or whatever you want to call that. The shoving of the information into the individual part from the judging or assessing whether the person has learned anything. And yeah, so I have that whole channel devoted to that, so I'll post a link down there to that. And there's no point in me going over these arguments over and over. But yeah, I think the system is ready for an overhaul. We don't need these redundant teachers. All we need is videos and internets and all this kind of crap and stickams and all kinds of other places where people can do the interacting thing. And it covers it all. I mean, you can cover the need for tutors or this or that or all this, whatever you need, this medium can provide it, and it doesn't need to be paying a bunch of redundant performance artists, as I call them, teachers, over and over and over and over again to do the same shit over and over. Just record it once and put it on the internet and put it on cable and leave it at that, and then test people and and pay them to learn it. Pay the students, not the teachers. That's the way to go. So anyway, I've been, like I said, got a bunch of videos on. Well, bunch doesn't take that many, but anyway, yeah, I don't know. I don't have nothing new to add to the argument except, yeah, it would save $1 zillion and it would be hugely productive, and I'm certain it'll work, and all you have to do is give it a fair test for a few $1,000,000 and game on. But anyway, next subject. Alright, so we talked a little bit about the brain and this idea of separating thoughts from feelings, and he was sort of careful in how he did it, but I still think he's attempting to say that there's something that we can't do, that somehow we can't know or identify or obviously see when we're being rational and when we're being emotional, when we're being feeling about something and when we're thinking about something. And I think we can identify that fairly easily. I mean, I completely agree that the brain uses feelings to the very function of logic requires it, almost. I'd almost go that far, that you can't have the logical function without a sensitive brain that is capable of assessing a good or bad value, because it's through that assessment that you're even able to validate good thinking, rational thinking, good logic. If you didn't have a structure in the brain that could say, yes, that was very logical, think more like that, you wouldn't be able to think logically. But I don't think we're owned by our emotions, if we don't want to be, and if we're aware of the fact that we have a psychology that has a personal bias tied to every single word in the vocabulary, every image, everything, and then that bias doesn't have to play a significant role in some sort of conversation or discussion. It's really easy to see it and eradicate it from a disciplined argument or conversation even. Yes, we're going to be emotional. I mean, subjects are going to mean something to us, things are going to mean something to us, concepts are going to mean something to us, we're going to be reactive, but that reactivity has nothing to do with the capacity to compile a logical argument or a logical definition or description, a diagnosis, a dissection. You could talk, or you could dissect something, and you could talk about it, and there could be parts of the dissection that you could be emotionally meaningful. You could see your grandmother's face in somebody's pancreas. Something like that can happen, and it's not going to ruin your capacity to be logical. So there's just, I'm just only saying this because anytime anybody tries to sit there and say we can't escape our emotional nature, I don't think anybody's making the argument that we're supposed to not be emotional. People are making the argument, and he even used Mr. Spock. And Mr. Spock, in my opinion, is a legitimate example, because Mr. Spock wasn't, they suppressed emotion. They didn't destroy or eliminate it, they put it someplace else. And when you do the logic thing, you separate yourself from any of those biases. But the concept was that the emotions are suppressed, that they are weeded out as best possible from the logical process, and that's perfectly valid. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that, but there's something very wrong with people who keep talking about like we're supposed to react to or live life based on some innate emotionalism. That's where we're supposed to get our morality or our ethics. We're supposed to base it on some sort of innate programming, and that's like just saying, well, let's all be owned by a DNA molecule, or let's be owned by our culture, or let's be owned by all the worst elements of our existence. So no, logic's got a rule, and logic is going to be disciplined by rules. As long as those rules are obeyed, that you do eliminate the bias when you see it, at least that much, and that you're open to argument that is able to point to your bias and say, there's your bias, and there's how it affected your argument. And that's part of the process of arguing as sentient creatures. So we're going to have to challenge each other's emotionality and emotional biases. There's nothing wrong with doing that, and that will, in practical fact, make the logical concept math that we're doing work. Why do you English people say math? This is a z. How do you make math into a plural? I mean, how does that even work? I mean, it's impossible for me to make that work. But anyway, that's a whole other subject. So anyway, yeah, it's probably a longer video than I thought I would be making. This is stuff we've sort of been over before. But I'm just saying there's a danger in giving people an excuse to ever allow emotion to be part of intellectual, philosophical analysis of the concepts of reality. Yeah, or however you want to put it. It ain't good. Okay, logic good, emotion bad. Yeah, when it comes to logical processing. So, yeah, enough of a video. Okay, so leave here first. Didn't work. This button is recessed, which is really a problem. So you really can't hit it. I mean, you try to hit it, and it just, you have to like poke it with your fingernail. Really stupid, Flip. I mean, you really had the idea, and then you sit there and made this, the other button was too easy to hit, now this one's too hard to hit. I mean, you just, somewhere in between, fuckers. But maybe you fix that with the new ones. So I'll have to find out. I'm getting a new broken one, so I'll see the new model. Anyway, till next time and such, and so forth.